Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Fight fans all around the world. We're going to talk boxing, of course. Before we do, if you like this video, if you like the content on the video, if you like the content, you like the video, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, and donate via Western Union or MoneyGram. And what you need. First things first, we're going to talk about something that is related to boxing, but not boxing. So, I've talked to you guys at length about what you need to do so that COVID-19 will not overcome you. And this goes not just for COVID-19, but for any infection, for any disease in your body. One of the most things you must understand is environment. Shout out to the person who just liked my video. I believe it's a subscriber. This goes for any environment in your body. And I told you guys, boxing and boxers particularly, they're learning how to live a healthy lifestyle. If you are a healthy individual, not fit, but healthy, it means you're doing something right because your body's immune system is on point. And any healthy, not fit, okay, any healthy individual, any individual who is 90% and upwards healthy is not going to succumb to COVID-19, cancer, diabetes, and several other diseases, heart disease, etc. They're not going to, because the environment in which their body functions is one that is not conducive to having these things happen. Almost 9 out of 10 times, all of these diseases are caused in part, not completely, but in part by some microorganism, whether it's in the gut, in the blood. There is a microbe somewhere which is causing these negative things to happen. It doesn't matter what you talk about. You can have microbes that go into your mouth, give you cavities. They can go into the blood and start eating on the valves of your heart. Okay? There are microbes that you may get with yeast infection, or in the case of men, you have infections with your primary sexual organs, and these lead later on to cancer. You can have infections in your gut, yeast infections, fungal infections, etc. And this can lead to leaky gut, leaky brain, eventually diseases of several different kinds. Let me say that the human being and the human body is made up of 90% microbes. Your cells are similar to bacteria, even though bacteria has a totally different kind of structure to some degree. But your bacteria is the same, and it has a very similar structure to mitochondria in your cells, which are the energy-producing parts of your cells. Viruses are very similar to the genetic materials of your cells and exosomes of your cells. Exosomes are basically lipid structures that will let out genetic material, let out toxins from your cells. Okay, there's cell-to-cell communication. This is old news from 2007. They've gotten a lot more research that's a lot further than that. Now, I want to speak about this. You see here the ruse, and I talk about satanic ruse. If you only knew what people at the highest level of society were doing behind closed doors, anything you or I could possibly do at this point in time would seem so petty compared to what these people do. And all I'm going to say to you is, any sexual disorder or miscreant behavior you could possibly do, these people have already done, and worse. And I'm talking about sexual acts involving the shedding of blood, people dying. That's how extremely depraved these people are. There's nothing they won't do that is just disgusting to the highest degree. All right? So that you can get a perspective right now in media, especially in the internet. You can go to various places in the internet, and now they are broadcasting rape. They're broadcasting people playing with their poop. And this is supposedly sexual. We've seen, very disgusting pedophilia online. It's all satanic. It all has to do with energy levels. And it's very satanic. And why I say it's satanic is because someone in that process is being injured very badly. Someone is a victim in that process. Now, when you can think about this, I'm going to try and get your mind to a certain place to understand what our leaders in their rituals, their satanic rituals, are doing. Some of our leaders, not all of them. There's a reason why they have a certain aura about them, and you can't resist them. It's because they have delved deeply into evil. Okay? They have no conscience. Their conscience is seared. The worst possible thing that a human being could experience, they've already done it to someone. Now, so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. When you can rape someone who's underage, a child I'm talking about, rape them, torture them, and then proceed while they're alive to dissect them into little pieces and eat them. We've heard about this with primitive peoples. It's demonic. And I wanted to share this with you guys because I don't want you guys to be, shall I say, horrified by some of the things I will say in the next couple of videos. But they literally are trying to desensitize you to these things on the internet and on media. And they're doing it very successfully. Your behaviors of people are becoming more and more depraved. This is real I'm talking about. This is not a conspiracy theory, okay? This is real what I'm talking to you about. So I decided to put it out there. I don't want to stay silent on it anymore. And I know I firsthand experienced not that level of depravity, but I've seen people commit suicide because of the pressures that these people put on them through very depraved means. And I've seen people in my medical field who were very successful go berserk and crazy, and now I know why. So I've experienced all those things. I've seen them character assassinate people, and they can't get work, they can't get jobs, all of that. I've seen it. And I'm talking about in Christian circles. So, suffice it to say, there's no length that these people can't go. But one of the things they try to proliferate and have you feed off of is fear. When you're not fearful, they are sending suggestions subliminally to you all the time. And it's very satanic what they're doing. Because at a certain point, when you've progressed so far down the road, you no longer question what is right and what is wrong anymore. You become so depraved, ladies and gentlemen, that there's no such thing as wrong. There's no such thing as ethics. There's no such thing as morality. And they are mind controlling you many different ways through the media. And I'm talking about literally the media is designed for that. At least mainstream media. And I'm not trying to, again, make people feel paranoid and stuff. But if you don't watch a television, my uncle and my aunt, they don't really watch television. They have very, very productive and successful lives. And I'm not saying everything on TV is bad. There are people who are trying their best to deprogram you from the programming that you've received since a child. Some of your most favorite shows that you see on TV are programming you. And your perception, your morality, your ethics, the way how you see the world today especially, has become more and more raw. And the standards have dropped with each consecutive generation. I remember a time, just to give you an example, that cursing wasn't allowed on television. I'm talking about words like shit, ass, damn, fuck, bitch. They weren't allowed. And that has changed. Television has these things. Now we have the internet, the wild, wild west of exploration. But it's no longer becoming the wild, wild west. It is slowly being reined in and controlled and monitored. Every conversation. And if you guys ever knew about Mr. Snowden, there was actually a movie based on him. The CIA monitors every single thing they can. Your phone, your computer, all the products now. But why would someone want to monitor people? I want you guys to go research this word, transhumanism. And I want you guys, if you haven't watched this movie, it's worth your time, The Matrix. It's a big movie in 1999. They have already turned you into a willing, agreeing battery. They feed off of you, spiritually speaking. And we have our gods, or superheroes. Our superheroes are our stars in entertainment. Whether it's a football star, a boxing star, that movie star. I'll give you one more, and I'll leave it alone. Knowledge is power, guys. Know you can function just like everybody else, but know the truth, because you must know what to do. The reason why I don't fear the coronavirus is because I know what to do. Knowledge is power. Systems have been put in place. Just K, shout out to you, my brother. Systems have been put in place. Seemingly foolproof systems, but they count on you believing them. You have to believe. Like the Matrix, if you believe this world is real, then you'll conform to their rules. But if you don't believe that what you're seeing is real, they don't have that grip on you. And the grip they have on you is fear. Fear to act, to coalesce, and to agree with everything that's being said. And so I have to broadcast this now because we're at an interesting junction in human history in which all of you, and even myself to some degree, has accepted staying in a house. We're all in the house arrest. And people will say, well, it's because of the virus and it will make you sick, it will make you ill, and this is the measures that other governments are taking, and some of them are successful. Some governments are successful, but for how long? They're trying to wait out a virus, wait out the people who have it. Let me show you something. If you get a virus in your system, there's never a time when it goes completely away. What happens is your body retains some of the DNA and the material of that virus, and to some degree some of the colonies of that virus still survive in your body. So if you've had, for instance, measles or chickenpox, you're going to have data inside of your body on that chickenpox or measles or smallpox or whatever it is for the rest of your life. Even allowed some colonies to exist in your body, but in insignificant proportions. Which means if you've gotten chickenpox and it can be passed on, if the other person hadn't had chickenpox, if the other person didn't have an immune system that's strong, you can pass that chickenpox on to them. Tuberculosis is the same thing. So what are we going to do when we can eradicate a virus from one location and then somebody comes with the virus again and starts to infect the whole entire population? What are we going to do? I was taught at a very young age to critically think. I question everything. That's why I ended up in research. I want you to do the same. I know some information is wrong and false. There's a lot of things out there that are not true. But you have to learn how to choose. A really great director, Zack Snyder, sent messages to people counterintuitive to the CIA-led Hollywood. He told us we had the power to choose, even though we may be raped and exploited. Sucker punch. Go watch the movie if you want. You always have a choice. If you do not agree and you resist to civil disobedience, because you know in your heart that what you are seeing is not true, and you know that there must be the truth. I'm not advocating civil disobedience in terms of you go and be violent, but I, myself, am civilly disobeying now. I hug people, I shake their hands, I don't wear masks, and I'll tell you why. Not because I'm reckless and I want my family in danger, because I don't even meet them anyway. We're still socially distancing ourselves from each other. But some things don't make any damn sense. And you must be able to use your nugget. Don't be afraid. Out of fear, that is where you will coalesce, because you're afraid for your life and those you love. But you must think. There are times to wear a mask. I don't disagree with that. I agree 100%. But the successful countries who have started to lower the curve, my brother even said, they don't use masks. I'm telling you, these people are up to no good. They are about pushing the world into a so-called utopian Orwellian state. We've seen it in movies over and over again. We've seen it and read it in books. And we couldn't understand how people with free will in this great time where people get to choose and democracy and all this stuff, how we could go from that to Orwellian. Truth be told, it's always been Orwellian. You're given the illusion that you're choosing. I have this brand and I have this brand, but the owner is the same. The founder is the same. You have no choice. You're choosing from the founder brands. Coke and Pepsi. I say all of this not to scare anyone. I don't want you scared. I want you to get a sense of reality. As some people will say, you can choose the green pill or you can choose the red. The blue or the red pill. Ignorance is bliss, said one person. When I choose to live where I can choose my destiny, or else I die. As they say, give me liberty or give me death. And I am willing to die for that. How about you? For a gladiator sport and a warrior sport like boxing, a true soldier has a certain mindset. Are you going to be nonviolently on the front lines, choosing liberty? All of us want to be free. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm being a little bit cryptic. I'm not going to say all the information I know. But suffice it to say that I understand the skepticism by the world today for our leaders, particularly those who have specific agendas. It's not a lot of them that lead the plantation and believe you slavery is still here. Mental slavery. Bob Marley said that. It's still here. And for the slaves that have been able to get little perks, we call it money, they're even more comfortable being in the position they're in. For all of you that find, and there's a solution to all of these things. So, on this platform that's funded by YouTube, which is the same platform that has just censored a number of people, on my little channel, which doesn't have a whole bunch of views, I still am going to echo the sentiment of all these other people. And I hope you guys do your homework while you're under house arrest. They're not telling you it's compulsory. They're not putting a curfew out there. No, they're using a different wording. But you're under curfew. If you go out now into the roads, if the police see you at a certain hour, they're beating people in my country at a certain hour. This is how they're using incentives to keep people in their homes. But I will go out every single day and get my fresh air. Because if they beat me, I prefer to be beaten that way than beaten mentally, sitting in a house under house arrest. You guys need to know and use your brain. If you're going out somewhere and there's hardly anybody out there, it's dangerous in that you could be, people could do you something that nobody else will see. If you have a phone, it's great. But if there's nobody out there, how are you going to get the virus from when there's nobody out there? So I understand precedent that if people start coming out their houses and moving around like usual, that it could lead to problems. But here's the problem. A lot of people are panicking. And when they have to go to the supermarket or store, there's a whole horde of them. Now, just imagine if people didn't have to be that panicky. And then you'd have people coming to the supermarket in manageable numbers. You'd have people going to different areas in manageable ways. And the regulators, the people who would regulate this thing, would be able to monitor and regulate them. We have had census and surveys done all over the country. They know our population. They know even the illegal people that are in here. And it goes for worldwide. All this data and you're not regulating through that. For all the smartphones and all the smart technology, there's not a smart way to manage this thing and deal with it. They don't tell you you need to boost your immune system. I'm going to stop right there. For all you people out there in internet land who's watching this YouTube video, the first and principal thing you need to do is boost your immune system. It doesn't matter what's going on. If your immune system's not on point, you might get something else while you're in your house. Or you may be in pre-cancer stage. Or you may even be developing cancer as we speak because you're afraid, your immune system is down, and you're not doing things to help your immune system. What I'm trying to say to you guys is, there are things you can do. Do them. Let's get into the box. So, the topic I'm going to cover, there's several, but the first one I want to cover is Sean Porter expressing his willingness to face Terrence Crawford. I think that this is interesting. Of course, we are in a process right now where boxing may or may not come back. We'll see how things go. It depends on you guys again. You guys determine the next move, how you react. It's almost an experiment on you. And how you react and how you respond, how you deal with situations will determine if we have business as usual, which I don't really recommend either. But more importantly, that if boxing does return, we get to see the fights we want to see. Now, you've seen it as fans all the time. We don't get the fights we want to see. The people in authority dictate what fights you get, and you have to take it as it is, except for fighters who just say, I want to see this. I've even heard boxers say, I don't really determine what fight I want to fight next. I'm not in that position to do that yet. I heard it from Jamal Charlo. I've heard it from Caleb Plant. And that's interesting. Somebody determines or gives them a list of opponents they can face, and they have to pick from that list. The only guy I know who did this, and big props out to him, is Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner said, I want Marcos Maidana. Now, he had done a lot in his career. Four divisional world champion, or 3 divisional world champion, I think it was. So he could make that demand. He had his own promotional company as well, AB Promotions. And the point is, he demanded it, and he got the fight he wanted. And I always give him props. If you think about it, Adrian Broner has faced the who's who in boxing at those weight classes. He has. And I'm talking about later on in his career, not so much early. He has faced Sean Porter, Manny Pacquiao. He has faced. He has faced Marcos Maidana. Okay, Paulie Malignaggi. All right. Say what you want about Adrian Broner. Mikey Garcia. He's faced a number of pound-for-pound fighters, actually. You know? And just to show you that you can't rule out Adrian Broner, he's never been stopped, first of all. And he's a real fighter because he fought Marcos Maidana tooth and nail. Even though he was pretty much outgunned in many respects. He's a real dude. He puts his blood, guts, and sweat out there. He probably got a swollen jaw over the Marcos Maidana fight. He still wants to rematch Marcos Maidana. Maybe if Marcos Maidana comes back, Adrian Broner will fight him. He fought the best. And he hung in there with them. Sometimes it was a one-sided fight, but he hung in there with them. This is a guy coming up from super featherweight. Right? You got to give him his props. Because he did not allow his handlers to dictate what he should do and what he shouldn't do. He did it his way. And I'm going to say this about Adrian Broner. That's the way to go. If you got to blame somebody for something, blame your own self. So Sean Porter is expressing that he has to talk with Terence Crawford about this fight. He said he didn't envision facing Terence Crawford. But he said, hey, Terence Crawford's on the table. I will take that fight. I will fight him. I will fight Terence Crawford. You know, he said it in an interview with a UK channel. Truth be told, that's the way to go. I think that Sean Porter always is a tough fight for almost any opponent, but he reminds me of John Brown at super featherweight. John Brown was always a tough fight for every opponent that they faced. And the thing with Sean is Sean has such a variety of skills that he could come one fight one way, and he can almost like a chameleon change up and go another way. He's very aggressive, but he has a style that can nullify your style. And so I would love to see Terence Crawford versus Sean Porter, to be honest with you. Jamal Herring very recently said he would like the same. He'd prefer Terence Crawford versus Sean Porter than Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook, mainly because, one, Sean Porter is one of the top 5 best welterweights in the division at present. 2, he just came off of an outstanding performance against Errol Spence, in which Errol Spence probably got the win because of the knockout. And 3, Sean Porter has fought all the top elite fighters. The only ones that elude him are Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. He's for Kell Brook, he's for Keith Thurman, he's for Danny Garcia, and he's for Errol Spence. All right? It's remarkable. Okay? Every single fight was a tough fight for those guys. Okay? They didn't beat him by big margins, you know. Even when it was a unanimous decision. Oh, they lost him. Oh, I forgot Adrian Broner as well. The top names in boxing. Sean Porter's fought them all. Right? He's got more top-tier people at welterweight than any other welterweight right now in the division. And the fights could have gone either way. Depends on how you looked at them. Oh, here's Dennis Ugas as well. He's fought 7 elite welterweights. 7. The only 2 he has not done is Manny Pacquiao and Terence Crawford. I would love to see Sean Porter versus Terence Crawford. Showbiz the Adult was talking about Portergate. that you have to, not Portergate, Porter Row, that you have to go through Sean Porter. You know, I don't want to compare him to Emmanuel Burton, but Emmanuel Burton was like a test to see if you can get past Emmanuel Burton, because if you could get past Emmanuel Burton, you'd be a world champion. I think Sean Porter kind of suffers from some of the similar things with Emmanuel Burton. Emmanuel Burton should have been a world champion, but there were decisions against him because he was never the A side. He was never the guy that people favored to win. For some reason, after one of his losses early in his career, people wanted to use him to push up their fighters. And so he would never get the decision. Even if he deserved the decision, he would never get it. Another fighter I think about that was like that was Carlos Molina. In fact, they successfully got rid of Carlos Molina. The rape case, and then he had to go to Mexico so he couldn't train like he wanted to. And nobody talks about Carlos Molina, right? Another person who, several of them actually, who were never the A side, and therefore they never got the A side benefits. And decisions were called against them. Mauricio Herrera is another one. We got tons of them actually when you look at boxing's history. And this goes all the way back to early days. Murderer's Row. This guy had to throw fights. So even though they beat the fighters soundly, they didn't get the decision. And this is the way how boxing is. Boxing is a very corrupt sport, very dirty sport. It's a beautiful sport, but it's extremely dirty. And I don't want to go into the kind of characters that are still involved in boxing and how dirty they are. But what I would say is that Porter would be a great fight for Terrence Crawford, and vice versa. And the thing with Sean Porter is you got to be on your A game. You have to be sharp. Terrence would have to be sharp. He would have to be on his A game, because Sean Porter will bring the heat on Terrence. He would bring it. And Porter's getting better and better, in my opinion. He's always training. He's always in shape. And so it would be really a nice, solid test for Terrence Crawford, even beyond the testing he may have with Kell Brook, because Kell Brook's right now not a top 10 welterweight, one. And two, Kell Brook hasn't really faced top-tier competition of late. Okay? After the Errol Spence fight, he's fought 2 fights against super welterweights, but they're not top-tier guys, right? The other thing that I wanted to say is that, a lot of people don't know what the word elite is, and a lot of people do not know what A level, B level, C level, D level boxers are. So let me go through that, because I think it was Jay Breezy or Wayne Talk, I can't remember which one, they confused the issue of elite and A level, B level, C level. Let me explain it to you. So elite level fighter is basically a top fighter. They're ranked by somebody, or ranked by most people, common consensus. They are at the top of boxing in their respective divisions. So, example, when you talk about the top 10 best welterweights in the division, you're talking about the top 10 most elite welterweights in the division. Elite means top, that's all it means. Elitists are people who believe that they are the only things that matter, right? So, because they're the top. So we talk about the 1%, for example, economically being the elite. All right, so Sean Porter is elite because he's one of the top welterweights. Generally speaking, when we talk elite, what we're really specifically talking about probably the upper part of the top 10, whether it's the top 7, top 6, top 5, top 4, top 3, right? We're talking about that. That's elite. And when we talk about A side or A-level opponent and B-level opponent, C-level opponent, Mayweather kind of clarifies it. Andre Berto is considered B-level, he said, because, he doesn't have that kind of draw, but in time he could become A-level. A-level and B-level and C-level, it's not just the performance in the ring, but it's also your drawing power. Okay? And a good example of that is when Oscar De La Hoya faced Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya was the A side because he was the A-level opponent. And Floyd was B-level opponent compared to Oscar. Floyd was the pound-for-pound number one in the world. So how is it that the pound-for-pound number one in the world could be beneath the pay-per-view king? Because the pay-per-view king draw it. Right? Oscar didn't have the kind of skills Floyd had, but he had comparable performances. Definitely more exciting fights. That's what made him a bigger draw. And he had the reputation. So A-level, when we talk about A-level fighters, we're not just talking about how good they are as fighters. We're also talking about their drawing power. Compared to other guys in the division, they draw a hell of a lot more. So Manny Pacquiao's A-level, right? Keith Thurman's A-level. You've seen his numbers. You look at Keith Thurman's numbers for almost every single fight Keith Thurman's had. Numbers are off the charts. He does have A-level skill as well. He gets the job done. Deontay Wilder is coming up to be an A-level guy, okay? Because his drawing power was getting more and more and more. Anthony Joshua, A-level. And so on. So that's what A-level means. It's not just your ability. There are some guys who have incredible ability, but they're not A-level. They're B-level. Okay? So Sean Porter may be B-level compared to Errol Spence, who's A-level. Errol Spence has been doing some ridiculous numbers, and Sean Porter hasn't been doing those kinds of numbers. So the A side, if Errol Spence was to face Terrence Crawford, would be Errol Spence. Okay? In every single category. His performances have been better against better opposition. He's been the more exciting fighter, knocking out people all the time. And on top of that, his numbers are just what they are. His drawing power is just ridiculous. He's a pay-per-view star now. So he'd be A-level. Terrence Crawford would be B-level, which just means Errol Spence dictates. Errol Spence dictates what Terrence Crawford would do because he has better opposition. Okay? He has better drawing power. He also has star power. And so the more Errol Spence beats guys, former world champions, etc., the more he unifies belts. It's just the more drawing power he has when he goes up against Terrence Crawford. That's to mention how much experience he's getting at the top tier level. Now, Terrence Crawford has had some top tier level performances as well against guys in lower divisions, lower weight classes, unifying division. But he hasn't been stiffly tested like Errol Spence has. And that's going to make a big difference when those two meet. Errol Spence has had much more tougher fights, faced much better opposition, particularly at welterweight. These are facts. And that just prepares Errol Spence even more for when he clashes with Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence being the naturally bigger guy than Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford might be bigger than him size-wise, but Errol Spence has been a career welterweight. So it's kind of, not to say that Terrence can't beat him. It's just that, because Pacquiao beat Thurman. Thurman's a career welterweight. But it's just that it makes it that much more difficult for me to pick Terrence Crawford to beat Errol Spence, given that their skill sets are more or less sort of counterbalance each other. And, like I said before, Terrence is much more of a, not versatile, but he's much more elastic, whereas Errol is much more precise and sharp. You can see he's much more honed in his skills than Terrence is. But Terrence has that beautiful elasticity, and that's what makes the difference. So I would love to see that fight. I'm not going to lie. Spence versus Crawford. But I still favor Spence to win. Not to say that he will, but I favor him. So, but when it comes to Crawford versus Porter, that is a fantastic fight to watch. And the thing about it is, Porter is very accessible. Porter is someone who will entertain that fight. You know, that's what we want to see. We want to see more of those kinds of fights. Wilder versus Fury was a good fight. I would love to see Porter versus Crawford. Porter versus anybody, actually, is a good fight. What does Terrence Crawford say? I don't know. But Terrence Crawford has already spoken somewhere in the past and entertained the notion of facing Sean Porter. He's not against it anymore. So I would love to see those two bang it out. But if we get the Kell Brook fight instead of the Porter fight, I'm not mad at it. It's a good fight. And I think a lot of people are counting out Kell Brook before even seeing him in action against Terrence Crawford. Styles make fights, of course. But I do think that Porter would be a much more entertaining fight for sure. There'll be non-stop action in that fight. Now Porter doesn't tire. Porter has better endurance than Kell Brook does. And just a lot of all-around dog in Porter. All right. Let's go into one more topic that I did not have up on top of there. And it has to do with fights in general that are ongoing and upcoming. During this period, I guess a lot of people get to evaluate their situations. As I said before, this is a good time to boost your immune system as much as is humanly possible. I've been boosting my immune system even before all of this happened, but I even take special care now to boost my immune system. There's some behavioral practices I do that are just not good for me, and I need to stop them. Still in the process of doing that. And I want to say to people that the upcoming fights and the upcoming boxing matches that you're going to see, which I'm looking forward to, because I like boxing, I would tell people this. The small little things that I showed you guys to do, the box step, try practicing it every day. Put in a little time doing the box. You know, I had to put some stuff on the stove. I had to cook something. I had to eat something. Yeah. But also, I recently had some tea, some green tea with lemon and honey in it. It wasn't super sweet. It was just nice. And for those of you who need to stockpile things for your immune system, whether it's food or whatever it is, my advice to you is, during this time, if you ever feel like you're going to be afraid of getting a disease or something, coronavirus, whatever, take a sip of lemon water. Take a sip of lemon water with a little vinegar, a little baking soda. I'll probably leave out the baking soda. I just use the slight little vinegar in lemon water with a tinge of honey. If you can get honey. If you don't have honey, don't worry about it. Drink that down with a little turmeric if you want on the side. Or if you got green tea, put some green tea in there. And drink a lot of teas. Okay? If it's by you, it should be heating up. The world should be heating up right now. Spring is almost over. We're looking at summer very soon. And summertime's going to really kill that virus, because the virus can't exist in heat for very long. So this could come to its end. The only problem I got to say to you guys is this. Don't just ride out the storm. Prep yourself. Prep. Okay? I really care about you guys' health. Prep yourself. Okay? And in terms of the boxing, like I said before, it's coming after this, if it does. Do look at it in a different light. Train yourself. Take the time off to train a little bit. Go outside and throw a hook or something, you know. Do the little box step, you know what I'm saying? Just stand in your stance and sink your knees down. Do some squats, you know. Do a little bit of pull-up, a little push-up, a little, you know, a little something for your abs. All right? Today I'm banged up. That's why my face looks so banged up. I really am banged up. I physically took my body through very destructive courses of action, which probably just weakened me some more, you know. But I'm trying to recoup. My mouth is dry, but I'm trying to recoup. You don't want to be dry. And then I ate something that just almost took me out of commission, guys. You know, lignin and fruits, when fruits are not ripe, they can gum up your inside. And I was gummed up for a good period of time today, but I was able to use the bathroom and do what I needed to do. Even now, my stomach's still kind of queasy and still hurting me a little bit. But the point is that prep yourself. So when the boxing fights start to happen, you at least have a better understanding of what's going on in there. You don't have to rely on anybody's commentary team or anything like that. You know what you see. Critical thinking. I want you guys to be able to assess something and critically be able to think about it. And I'm so happy to have been talking about boxing to you guys, even though, yeah, to some degree, I've kind of gone off my rocker and I've cursed and, you know, all kinds of things have happened in this journey, which is a journey. But at the end of the day, I hope that you're benefiting from this in some way, shape, or form. I hope that you are able to look at things and not just accept things for what other people say they are. A lot of times we believe other people without actually, we say, that sounds about right. Can't do that. You must check it for yourself. You must double check things for yourself. Do your homework. All right? But sometimes popular opinion isn't correct, and sometimes it is. So do your homework. Verify things. This is part of the critical thinking process. All right? And don't be afraid to do something because you think the consequences, especially with people, even if it's a good thing, you know, you feel people will come after you for it. No, keep going. If it's something you must learn from Floyd Mayweather is he still did what he thought he should do, regardless of who was saying what about him. All right? I don't know if he's giving over to Satan or not. He said he isn't, but you never know out here. One thing I do know about the guy that we could take from him and use in a positive manner is the guy was a guy who believed something very strongly and he acted on it. And what I'm trying to tell you guys is you must believe strongly in something. You must get to the truth. And once you get to the truth, you must believe it strongly so that it doesn't matter who tells you what. You won't have to be phased out. And sometimes everybody around you will be saying one thing, trying to bombard your mind. Well, it happens all the time. Advertising. Advertising is a medium in which you're getting bombarded with stuff, right? And then you got the radio and you got television. Radio bombards you with songs you may not want to hear. But before you know it, you're singing that song because it's banged into your head, right? And that's what we call it programming. And a lot of times, even 20, 30 years down the road, you're still reacting to the stuff that was banged into your head. But again, you can't just be an isolationist and say, okay, if I don't listen to that stuff, then I'm going to be protected. Not really. You got to have an immune system to it. You have to have a defense against it. Defense. Remember defense. You come back to defense all the time. And what's the defense against it? Filling your mind with things that you want to hear. So that when the things you don't want to hear start bombarding you, the things you want to hear can replace them. That's how you gain control. The people, the wicked people who run this world like that, under Satan, are counting on you to believe what they put out there to you. And there's a reason why certain people are getting censored on YouTube and without reasoning. The reason is they are losing control. And you may be the medium that's causing people to realize that they're not as powerful as they say they are. And guess what? Neither is Satan. So guys, your cooperation is necessary for these people to succeed. But if you know and have the knowledge and you don't cooperate, civil disobedience, then they will have to change their course of action. It's that simple. And that goes for everything and anything. And the fans put pressure on Mayweather to face Pacquiao. That fight had to happen. You made that possible. It might have been after 5 years, 6 years, but it happened. When the fans put pressure, non-stop pressure, the powers that be in boxing to put out free boxing, it happened. You have more power collectively than you think. And the powers that be listen to you. They have eyes and ears in places you don't even know they have eyes and ears. And they do little tests and experiments to see how you would respond. So, I hope that you guys use this time to free yourself and to do the things you love to do. Don't sit on a couch like a couch potato. There's no boxing now. You're doing reruns of boxing, that's great. But why not box? Why not try it? Try it. The more we meet doers, the happier they are. Doers are happy people. Talkers are not. Make what you say a reality. I'm what you need. You've been watching my channel. I hope you guys have a good one. Boost your immune system. I'm out. Peace.